like the way that they've approached the work, and there needs to be a sense of urgency. Because if we don't get better each day, we're going to be we're taking steps in the wrong direction. And this team, I think, has great ability to accomplish wonderful things. And the first chance that we get is against LSU, and I want to see us go play our best.
Hello and welcome in. It is a Friday edition of Always College Football. Today is June 23rd. We're a little under 4 weeks away from the Media Day circuit, but we are deep in the college football weeds. Mark Kubiak, Jack Foster, Jake Garcia. I'm Greg McElroy. Thank you so much for being with us. We have a terrific show in store for you today. The head coach of the Florida State Seminoles, Mike Norvell, will join the program. We're going to talk to him about the upcoming expectations, some of the transfers, Jordan Travis's progress, and of course, how could we not discuss the Week 1 matchup against LSU? And by the way, just how crazy last year's matchup was as well. We're also going to get to your mailbag questions, including an interesting comment made by Nick Saban. What does it mean, and how should it be digested? I also continue to urge you, and I so appreciate everybody for taking a couple minutes out of their day that have left us a review and a rating on the podcast platform. We so appreciate it. It helps us out a lot. But if you haven't done so yet, if you could, just take 30 seconds, wherever you get your podcast, leave us a rating. If you're on Apple Podcasts, leave us a quick review, leave us a rating. It'd be much appreciated. It really helps us out, and we are getting ready to finish up here on year number 1. Our numbers have been tremendous, in large part due to the support that you guys have given us. We really, really appreciate it. But if you can continue to support us by leaving a rating and review, it'd go an awful long way. So let's not waste any additional time. Let's talk to the head coach of the Florida State Seminoles, Mike Norvell. Welcoming in the head coach of the Florida State Seminoles, he's Mike Norvell. Coach, how you doing, man?
And doing great. Into our summer program, guys are working hard. It's definitely an exciting time to be here in Tallahassee. So just looking forward to getting ready for fall camp.
Well, it certainly is, Coach. And we'll start there because it felt like the momentum last year after Week 1 just kept rolling and rolling and rolling. Had a couple of games that were so incredibly close that were right on your racket and just couldn't bring it home. But, man, the excitement is just off the charts for what you guys might do this upcoming year. When you were going through spring, what was the message to the team?
I mean, pretty simple. Get better. I mean, we have to continue to improve. We have to continue to grow closer. You talked about the couple of those close games where play here, a play there, or maybe a situation that we have to be better in, where it cost us in the end. And as coaches, players, everybody involved, we all take ownership in that, and we have to be better. And I was so proud of our team for how we were able to finish off the season, winning our last 6, and the decisions of so many guys to come back and to be a part of this team for this next season that had opportunities, and but they chose to come and continue to work, and seeing them go through spring practice and just the way that they've improved, really the edge they're trying to bring to each workout. I mean, I'm excited for what's ahead.
As you should be, Coach. I want to get to the newcomers and the guys that are returning in just a moment. But before we get there, I think you guys are a testament to patience in an era of college football where there is none. And look, there was general progress. There was guys were getting better. You had some young guys that you went with early, said these are our guys. We're going to ride them to the end. And then when they're juniors, seniors, we'll be rolling. And that's exactly what's come to fruition. So what does that say about your administration in trusting the process and not trying to go about it in a microwave type of way by saying, if we don't win 10 games, we're moving? Like, it's crazy how quickly people are expected to turn things around, but you guys stayed true to what you knew. And as a result, it's coming to fruition. So what does that say about your administration?
I'm grateful for the support, and our administration, from the president, board of trustees, obviously our athletic director. I mean, they get to see it every day, and they see the growth within the program. They saw the buy-in from the players. Some of the early results were absolutely not what we wanted, but we had to go through some challenges. And as a program, there had been so much change, and really to be able to have that continuity and to be able to set a standard and continue to push and grow and develop guys to achieve to that standard was something that was important. And this last year, and even seeing how our team responded there at the back part of the season when we had a couple of those close games. I mean, that's what building a program is all about. And to be able to have our 25th 10-win season, to be able to see guys achieve when before the year there probably weren't a lot of folks talking about us being able to do that, but it's just these guys, they work extremely hard, and we have an administration that's very supportive. Everybody around this university is helping push forward what our football program's all about, and definitely grateful for that. But it's exciting to see the players and their growth throughout that process as well.
Well, recently your quarterback, Jordan Travis, who I'm just in awe of how he's progressed, how he's gotten better, went from being just a great athlete to now a more refined player that understands situations and all these other things, still growing in those areas, but he's just come such a long way. He's outspoken and saying, I want to win a national championship, simple as that. Now, to me, that's a little cart before the horse, but I appreciate that mindset. You want guys that expect the very best, but how do you balance that, not to put too much on the players to where they feel internal pressure to go and perform at an outrageous level?
Yeah, I mean, the level that they have to push to perform to is their best, and that's what we ultimately can control. I'm glad that our players, do not put limits to what they can accomplish. But on the flip side of it, none of that matters if you're not willing to show up every day and continue to grow, continue to get better. It is truly a process, and I know you hear that a lot. But if we can improve, if we can get better, if we can become a closer team, in all areas. I've got a lot of confidence in the team that I coach and the young men and the investment that they've made throughout this journey. And I think Jordan's a great example of that. And for where he was to where he is now, I think he's a great quarterback. I think he's one of the best players in all of college football. And I watched him even with the success he had a year ago. I mean, he's probably our most improved player, going through spring ball, just in the sense of urgency in all aspects of his game to take it to another level. And if he can continue with that, if guys can continue to push with him in that journey, I mean, I'm excited to what this team can accomplish, and and ultimately controlling the things that we have an opportunity to make an impact on.
Well, a lot of people, Coach, and I've had a lot of philosophical discussions both on the record and off with coaches, and they've said once we kind of get it rolling and we feel like our culture's in a great spot, we kind of are going to avoid the transfer portal because you just don't know always what you're going to get. You guys, however, have gone the other direction. It's like we're going to continue to lean into that and look at the success you had last year with transfers, impact players immediately at several different positions. You go all in again this year, bring in a bunch of guys that can play high-level football, that have proven it at this level already. So you guys are kind of bucking the trend a little bit amongst some of the top programs in the sport. Why is that?
Well, I mean, I think we've done a good job within our balance as well. I mean, we've last year I think it was 65% of the signees that we had were high school players. But the guys that we're bringing in as transfers, I mean, they're the right fit. They're great players, great young men. They embrace the culture that we have, and they're really good. And so as long as we continue to get the right guys to come into our program, and bring that experience, bring all the things that have played a part of their journey, and can apply that into our program here at Florida State. I mean, it's exciting for us because everybody's got a different path. And, ultimately we're looking for the best fit of guys that can come in and help our football team. And I think we've done a really good job within our evaluation of, who it is that kind of, fits that bill. But then, obviously being able to have the balance with the guys that we're bringing in from the high school ranks that have come in and also been able to make a great impact.
Is it? I guess you would think if I'm in the portal and I look at Florida State and I look at Jared Verse, I look at Lovett, I look at some of these other guys that have come right in. I look at Johnny. I look at all these guys, Trey Benson, transfers that have come from other places, and then you go to Florida State. It's like these guys are now not just reaching their potential, but in some cases exceeding their potential. I don't think anyone saw Johnny having the year that he had last year. So. Does it make the sell a whole heck of a lot easier given the proof is in the pudding?
No, absolutely, and you want to be able to show the example. Where you're not just sharing a vision. You can see how somebody believed in what we were doing, and then whether they had the the recognition of their game, maybe at a previous place. I mean, they come here and they've been able to shine at a very high level, and I think you see that across the board. And I kind of mentioned that earlier. We're finding the right guys. They fit what we're looking to do. They come in. They've been able to be great leaders for us. They've made a tremendous impact on and off the field within our program. And and then when you have the next great player that's looking for an opportunity or looking at an opportunity, they see the success that has been had. So they can kind of see the path which they would need to go and what that would need to look like, but the success has really helped in a lot of ways.
It's been really remarkable to watch, and I know it's exciting for you. I've been outspoken. I'm not just blowing smoke here. If I were to become an offensive coordinator, you're the offense I would want to study. I don't know. In some ways, I don't know how you stop it. I think when you guys are executing, it's truly remarkable. The run game, the diversity in the run game, marrying up run pass and RPO, it's really phenomenal. So when we get to the core of your offensive philosophy, how did you bring all these different aspects together and the creativity that you show week to week? How is it that you're constantly being able to figure out a way to stay a step ahead of the defensive personnel that you're calling plays against?
Well, I mean, this is a program that's built for playmakers, and that's something that we've tried to really focus on, as we've built this offense, is to have the versatility to showcase the skills of the guys that I get to coach. And we've got great players. We try to put them in the best position to be successful, and we want to be multiple. I don't want to just be a one-sided football team where we just run or we just throw. I mean, we've had years where we've thrown for 500 yards in a game, and we've rushed for 400 yards in the same season in a game. And so you have those times where you can take what the defense gives you, but you're putting your players in a position to go win the one-on-ones. And ultimately, we want to be able to have that versatility within the schemes of what we do, but then making sure that we can teach our guys in a manner and be able to install those concepts in a way that guys have a lot of confidence in what they're being asked to do. And but when you have great players, it obviously makes it a lot of fun, and you see the growth and the confidence that our guys have in what we're dialing up for them.
One thing that I'm amazed by, though, Coach, I feel like as a play caller, you would want to say, hey, let's try this look. Let's try this look. There was one game in particular last year. You ran a very comparable formation, 3-by-1, the entire game. It was 100% 3-by-1, which I've quite literally never seen before, but clearly you recognized structurally if the defense plays this way, these are the coverages we're going to get and this is how we're going to attack it. You just stuck to it. And usually there's like a stubbornness amongst the play caller to get a bunch of different looks and, hey, man, let's try this. You won't do that. And it's kind of mind-blowing to me how you're able to just stick to your guns. So how is it that you're able to do that?
We spend a lot of time. We've got a great offensive staff that spends a lot of time in our preparation, and obviously there's certain things that we like to do, and with the players that we have, if we feel that we're creating that competitive advantage, then we're gonna continue to throw it at them. And our guys, they, like I said, they buy into that. They know that there's a lot of options of what we can do and how we can attack, and we really have an unselfish team, and guys that are every skill position player wants them all. I mean, that will never change in any offense in the history of the game of football. But when you have guys that are willing to play without the ball in their hands and willing to do the dirty work and understanding how if they do their job to a certain level, how it can open up somebody else. But they have to be prepared for their moment. And so like I said, we spent a lot of time in our preparation, but we've got a lot of confidence in what our players will be able to do, when the moment comes to them.
When you look at where you would like to grow, you reference situational awareness. The NC State game comes to mind. Obviously, that's just one of those crazy situations, but I don't feel like at this point you can ever stress situational awareness enough. So what do you do in practice to make sure that your guys have a great grasp on what they should do given down and distance, spot of the field, time, all those other things? So do you study that off the field? Do you practice it on the field? How do you integrate that awareness that is so important when it comes to winning and losing?
Well, you got to put them in the situations, and we spend a lot of time talking about it in meetings, whether it's through camp or spring ball as we install the offense and defense. We talk about those situations and things that we're each call, what we're looking to take away or what we're looking to how we're looking to attack, and whenever you try to put them through those situations throughout the course of a practice, you force them to think. And that's something that we want to be a football team that plays smart. And whether it's a 2-minute situation, there's going to be something that we try to stay very true to playing the game as it's going to play throughout the course of a week of practice, to where we can try to create situations that maybe we've seen, maybe we haven't, just to have opportunities to communicate thought process and to really play the game before we get to it. But then, we're gonna script and structure, different elements or situations where, you're forcing guys within the course of a practice. It might be an hour and a half into it, but they're having to think, they're having to adjust, they're having to adapt to whatever that situation calls for, and then you get to follow up with that in the meeting room. And so, our guys, they, like I said, they understand the areas where we can be better, and that's one of the things that we really have emphasized throughout spring ball, and there'll be a huge emphasis here in fall camp. And our guys know that that can be an area of confidence that we can take it into this next season because of the work that we've been able to put into it.
And certainly, we look forward to seeing the progress made in some of those areas for sure. I do want to get back to Jordan just for a moment. Jordan has been one of my favorite stories in college football, seeing what he was to now what he's now ultimately become, his confidence level growing. Even just when we sit down with him and have a visit with him, you can just tell he's oozing with confidence compared to the guy that started 3 years ago and he was kind of unsure and trying to figure it out. But, the COVID year and making things difficult for guys to progress made, I think, maybe his development just kind of maybe just pause for a little bit because he didn't get the reps that he probably needed or would have loved to have gotten early in his career. And now he's finally starting to show that crazy growth that was always in there. But what have you noticed specifically that's different about him this year?
Well, I think when you watch his rhythm, his timing, he understands where the ball is supposed to go. He does a great job. He's one of the smartest quarterbacks that I've been around. He truly studies the game. He's got a great eye for understanding leverage, different looks. He was able to work through his progressions, but you see him throwing in confidence with time, and that's to be able to take a drop, stick your foot in the ground, and get the ball out. I think when you look back to last year, when he was pressured, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and just being able to execute in that moment. And it is because of the way that he preps, and when you have that success, or even in sometimes when you have some of those challenges, just his work ethic and what he's able to do. But he's really bought into the timing, the rhythm, being able to get the ball out of his hand, and he's extremely accurate passer. So I love his game, and I love the work ethic that comes with who he is, and he's just a great leader for our team.
And finally, Coach, we'll get you out of here with this. It's no secret. Week 1 is going to be a war. LSU comes now, return trip. You guys went to New Orleans last year. This year they're coming to y'all's backyard in Orlando. It's going to be a phenomenal game, probably the biggest game of Week 1. when you have a big-time opponent in week one, do you sense a different type of urgency amongst your team throughout fall camp? I know last year you guys played week 0, so a little bit different there. You could kind of knock some of the cobwebs off, but either way, now you get Bayou Bengals right out of the gate. So how will that affect your fall camp and the way the guys maybe attack it?
Well, I mean, I think it started back in January, and everything that we do each day that we get to have. I mean, you're either putting yourself in a position to play your best that day or you're not. And with whether it's newcomers coming in, we've all signed up for what's ahead this season, and we know how it starts. And really the main focus we've had is on ourselves and making sure that as everything that we do leading up to kickoff is going to put us in the best position to go show the country who this team is and what we can do. And we're playing a great opponent. It's going to be like I said, it's going to be an absolute battle. But we're excited to compete. And I've got a lot of confidence in this team. I like the way that they've approached the work, and there needs to be a sense of urgency. Because if we don't get better each day, we're going to be we're taking steps in the wrong direction. And this team, I think has great ability to accomplish wonderful things. And the first chance that we get is against LSU, and I want to see us go play our best.
As you've gone back, just quickly before we get chatted here, as you've gone back and looked at that game from last year, have you ever been a part of a crazier game from start to finish? I'm not sure. I was on the call for it, Coach. I think I aged 2 or 3 years over the course of that 60-minute ball game. How did you feel?
I think all these gray hairs probably play sparks in that game, but it was a wild game, and no question. And there was a lot of situations that showed up. Players, coaches, all of us, where we had a chance to reflect back to it and work to get better. And it was, what I loved about it was how it finished, and it came down to a very I would say routine play, and you had an opportunity to see effort, want to, just belief, show up. And it was something I think was big for our program. I think going into the season, maybe people didn't expect as much from either team that was playing. And LSU goes and wins the West in the SEC, and we end up going to have a 10-win season. And so it was a big game on a big stage, and definitely excited about being able to kick off this season with another great matchup, and just be able to take all the lessons that were learned and apply them here this year.
Well, it's going to be terrific, Coach. We can't wait to see you in a few weeks. Have a great rest of the summer. And like I said, man, I couldn't be more excited for the team that you guys are fielding this year and the opportunities that lie in front of you. So best of luck.
Well, Greg, appreciate you having me on, and go Noles.
And as always, we so appreciate all the incredible questions you've been submitting our way. There's one listener in particular that sent like 10 questions. So we have so appreciated his contributions to the show, and we look forward to addressing some of these questions here in the weeks and days to come. alwayscollegefootball@gmail.com. That's where you can be in the mailbag. You can also hit us up on social media at alwayscfb on both Instagram and on Twitter. So if you have a question about your favorite team, a competition, a conference, maybe big picture college football, maybe NIL related conversations, this is the time to do so, because we fast forward into July and into August, we're naturally going to be spending a lot of time on season previews. So if you have questions, get them in, and get them in now. alwayscollegefootball@gmail.com. Who's where we going?
All right, first question comes from Jeff in Oklahoma. He asks, what are the chances NIL could be used to circumvent a limit on scholarships due to NCAA violations? Could a school have an athlete, quote, pay for their tuition with NIL money to keep the same level of athletes on the team despite a drop in scholarship numbers?
Yes, is basically the answer to the question. Now, how many NCAA violations are we seeing right now? How enforceable are some of the rules that have been used by the NCAA over the course of time? Not very enforceable, at least at this point. And honestly, things are taking forever for the NCAA Committee of Infractions to be able to make some rulings on teams that might have violated a rule or two here or there. We're already seeing this in other sports. Now, if you look at baseball, it's probably the best example of a team and a sport that is using NIL opportunities to basically overcome the scholarship deficit. We see 11.7 scholarships in baseball or so. Naturally, on a team and a roster that has 40 guys, it's going to be very difficult to divvy out the scholarships accordingly. So NIL has been massive as far as that sport, getting everyone up to the same level. Now, not everybody's on full ride because of NIL, but a vast majority of guys have definitely been helped by NIL to kind of close the gap between a full scholarship and what they would receive as a partial candidate. So we've seen this in other sports, and it will definitely happen in football. There's been long discussions if, for whatever reason, there's a collective bargaining between the players and the universities. There's a lot of people that believe that scholarship numbers might come down, and in an effort to kind of curb the additional cost, that it would come with having to pay the players directly out of the institution's finances. So there's already conversations about that, and we're already seeing some guys that are walking on because they have NIL opportunities that they wouldn't have by getting a scholarship at maybe a lower level school, a Division II school, what have you. So we're seeing this already. So as far as the NCAA violations aspect of it, I don't know if it's going to be a huge issue, but we're already seeing teams have inflated roster opportunities because of NIL that school can provide.
All right, next question comes from Jack in Tennessee. He asks, Nick Saban came out and basically said that the Tide should have been in the CFP last year because they would have been favored versus 3 of the teams. Well, they lost 2 games in the regular season, and as we know, not every school has the same budget for football. So if the playing field isn't even, shouldn't the committee base the playoff on wins instead of recruiting rankings and Vegas odds?
Well, I don't know if he necessarily was saying they basically should be in the college football playoff, but here's the problem with the current 4-team format. Remember, we're adjusting here in a couple of years, so it's going to be less about perception of whether or not your team will perform at a high level. We're going to get the results on the field. So you're no longer going to matter if you're a group of 5 team, because a group of 5 champion will have an automatic qualifier into the playoff. But here's the problem with the whole college football playoff selection committee theories anyways. It's too vague. Right now, everybody, if you just say, hey, 4 best teams, which is exactly what the committee's looking for every single year. I told you back on selection day when we did our show. I told you if the committee would just come out and stop saying 4 best teams. It's not the 4 best teams. It's never been the 4 best teams. It's the 4 most deserving teams. And look, everyone can live with that. And basically, you become deserving based on how you play in the regular season. So I think we just need to just put this whole 4 best teams to bed. It's the 4 teams that they can most easily justify. And that is the teams, that will make the playoff every year. And let's go back. I mean, there have been a few examples, very few examples of it not being the 4 teams that should make the playoffs. Like you can say, okay, well, back in 2014, TCU should have made the playoffs. Okay, fair enough. You could say back in 2016, Penn State should have made the playoffs. Fair enough. They had 2 early season losses and they played unbelievable down the stretch. But either way, they were left out in favor of Ohio State, who they beat, and Ohio State ultimately got drummed in the semifinal game. So either way, the committee could clear all this up. Because right now, all this vagueness when it comes to 4 best, it's like it's never been the 4 best. But if you go by what they're telling us, was Alabama one of the 4 best teams in America last year? Perhaps. I'm not going to make an argument for that. I'm certainly not going to make an argument against that either. Their record, however, at the end of the regular season, was not amongst the 4 best. All you have to do is just come out as a college football playoff committee and say, hey, we're taking the 4 most deserving teams. Or if you want to take it one step further, which is even more accurate, the 4 teams that we can most easily justify without a huge mutiny of college football fans. I think it's as simple as that. But at its core, we embrace debate in the sport. There is a certain level of subjectivity in this sport, and I think the College Football Playoff Committee recognizes that. And they kind of like the arguments that everybody has on Tuesday nights and or Wednesday mornings after they release the rankings every single week. And they certainly like the debate that occurs on the Sunday when the 4 playoff teams are announced. That keeps people angry. It also keeps people excited, and it keeps people on the edge of their seat. So, well, I think it'd be a whole lot clearer if they just come out and say, hey, 4 most deserving teams make it. Simple as that. But I think at their core, they kind of like all the conversation that centers around college football like it has for the last 75, 80, 100 years. We used to vote on national champions. Literally, think about how backwards that is. Vote on national champions. It's absurd. But in our history as a sport, we embrace debate. And I can't say I love it, but I also, at my core, I certainly understand it. That'll do it for us here at Always College Football. Please like, rate, and review, if possible, on the podcast platform. I told you at the beginning of the show, it really helps us out. So if you could just take a couple minutes, if you're on YouTube, hit that thumbs up. If you're on the Apple Podcast, do a rating. Also, if you could, maybe leave a review, whatever you choose. We don't have a marketing department. You guys are our marketing department, so word of mouth. Tell your friends that we're talking college football. Even here in the heat of the summer, competitions will be getting going here in the middle of summer probably, and some 7-on-7s. We'll have some quarterback competition updates. We'll also have a lot more interviews coming up down the road, hoping to get Steve Sarkisian, hoping to get Nick Saban, hoping to get a handful of others as well as we continue to move forward to the start of the 2023 season. For all of us here at Always College Football, for Mark, Jake, Jack, and Greg. I'm Greg. And Greg. I'm Greg. I am Greg, but I'm also and Greg, whatever. We so appreciate you being with us. And remember, it's always college football. Hey guys, it's Greg McElroy. Thanks for watching Always College Football. Make sure you like, rate, and subscribe to ESPN's YouTube channel and wherever you listen to your podcasts.